Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Enfield Guy. And today I've got a slightly different video for you. I'm going to give you my top 5 videos that feature Royal Enfield. So they're either going to be like a documentary or a feature film about Royal Enfield. So let's not muck around, let's get to it. Now, these films or documentaries are perfect for travel. So if you're going to be jumping on a bus heading to work and you've got about 20 minutes to spare, or if you've got a flight that's sort of around an hour and 20, download these on YouTube. I'll leave the links in the description below as well. They are absolutely perfect for that killing time getting to work or heading off on holiday. So without any further mucking around, let's start off with number 5. So number 5 is a documentary that was created by the BBC in the UK back in 1992, which is called Perpetual Motion, a Royal Enfield documentary. And it really is a fantastic look back at Royal Enfield through the golden years, and having a look back at the manufacturing back in the UK. Some of the prominent sort of figures in this film are Johnny Britton, who was an absolute legend in the trials era of Royal Enfield, who's unbeaten for many, many years on his Royal Enfield riding through the UK in several of the events there. This one doesn't really pull at the heartstrings as much as this documentary. It's more factual, but for anyone who's wanting to learn more about Royal Enfield before the twins came around, before the Himalayan, this is the one for you to go and watch and get some knowledge on the old Enfields.
Trials were where motorcycles proved their strength rather than their speed, and here the Enfields were front runners.
So once again, Johnny Britton and his Royal Enfield distinguished themselves.
Johnny Britton was the Enfield team's star rider.
Johnny Britton displays his mastery by making it look oh so easy.
Pat Britton, Johnny's younger brother, a member of the Royal Enfield Works team.
Other teams struggled to match the Enfield riders.
Here, for instance, comes Nalin. Here he comes, and there he goes.
Coming in at number 4 is Fantastic Journey. This is a really great film about a ride between 5 friends who are heading in northeast India through the Himalayas in Arunachal Pradesh. And this is called One Crazy Ride from Gaurav Jani, who is sadly no longer with us, but I had the pleasure of meeting him several years ago after he released this film. This is a story of friendship and sort of tackling some uncharted roads that hadn't been discovered before. Well, when I say discovered, not really open to Western tourists, and not many sort of vehicles are getting through there, but they decided to pack up their bikes, get on the road and head off to this area. It's a really fantastic film. This is one of the longer ones. It's a bit over an hour, but really worth watching. I'll show a quick clip of it now.
These roads, there are no roads, and that's the fun of it.
I really don't know what's in store for us. I hope there's a lot of excitement and some danger, but of course not too much.
Coming in at number 3 is a fantastic film by Colorblind Productions called Old Delhi Motorcycles. Now, this features, or heavily features, Bobby Singh, who a lot of you who are Royal Enfield enthusiasts would absolutely know. He actually owns Old Delhi Motorcycles and is an incredible bike builder and restorer, and someone who I'm happy to call a mate as well. This really goes back and has a look at the sort of generational companies or livelihoods that have been made around Royal Enfields in India, keeping them going, for either everyday use in sort of agricultural sense or deliveries or just transportation, and down to having them as showpiece bikes as well, and really just not wanting to let these pieces of history die, which is a really lovely thing, because there's some beautiful old bikes across India that you're not going to really see anywhere else in the world. And people like Bobby are really doing their best to keep these alive. Here's a quick clip from it now.
There are so many individuals who do not work for Royal Enfield, who have dedicated their lives, second generation, third generation, to this motorcycle.
All right, coming in at number 2 is another film from Gaurav Jani, and this one is one of my absolute favourites. I've watched this many times, and it's a really inspirational film. It does definitely tug at the heartstrings. You know, goes through a few moments of adversity and you know, just wanting to complete a journey. And this one's called Riding Solo to the Top of the World. Now, this is a film that was pulled together, you know, solo by Gaurav. It's a you know, a trip that really shows his vulnerability and I guess the, you know, the desire of one person wanting to get up in really high up in the Himalayas and discover, you know, what lies up there, learn a lot more about themselves. You know, this film was a big inspiration for me to do something exactly like that, riding through Himachal Pradesh, up through Dharamshala as well. It holds a special place in my heart, this movie. It really is fantastic. Riding Solo to the Top of the World. Have a look at the clip I'm going to roll now. Okay, we've finally got there to number 1. I think it needs a drum roll. Pretty bad drum roll, I haven't got it in front of me, I'll give it a crack. But number 1, and this is my all-time favourite Royal Enfield movie, is from Chris Zanna, and it's called Chasing the Bullet. Now I'm going to roll a bit of this while we're talking through it, but Chasing the Bullet is, you know, one of those films that really describes a love affair between India and the Royal Enfield Bullet. It's just a beautifully shot film. It's quite raw in places as well. It's got some of the, you know, all-time sort of Royal Enfield superstars in there. In Bobby Singh, who features in there again from Old Delhi Motorcycles. Jonathan Gibson, who's a friend of mine from Brisbane, who rode from Sydney to India on his 1958 Bullet, which is an absolutely incredible feat. Prankar Rana, who is an absolutely incredible artist, who you will see a lot of his work featured with Royal Enfield now. He does a lot of the sketching and cartoon type work for Royal Enfield. And also Paul Smith from Rag & Bone Customs, who is an absolute sort of god in the, you know, the custom fabrication world of Royal Enfield, who's sort of living in Goa, and I've had the pleasure of meeting a bunch of times. Now, this really is, I guess, for anyone who's wanting to know some of the origins of Enfield, you know, where the cool comes from in Enfield as well, this is the one for you guys to watch. A massive shout out to Chris. I remember when I saw you sort of pulling this idea together, you know, I jumped on board with the crowdfunding piece as well, because I wanted to see this get off the ground. You know, this is going back a couple of years now, but this is my number 1. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this sort of countdown from 5 to 1 of my favourite Royal Enfield videos. Let me know in the comments below what you think, if you agree with the order, or if you've got any others that I've left out that I need to see. I'd like to see it. Thanks a lot.